Hello everyone! Welcome back. And today I'm going to be sharing with you guys how we planned our 7-day trip to Saudi Arabia. We had a layover in Dubai, but we were in Saudi for about 4 days, 3 nights. We spent 2 nights in Jeddah and then 1 night in Riyadh. So, if you're planning on going to Saudi Arabia anytime soon and you're wondering what it takes to plan a trip, or how long you should stay there, or what places you should visit, definitely stick around and watch this video, because I'll be answering all of those questions and so much more. So let's get right into the video. The first thing that you need to know when planning a trip to Saudi Arabia is that they have recently lifted the COVID-19 restrictions, which is why we took this trip. And one of the things that they have implemented is that you no longer have to do a PCR test to enter Saudi Arabia, as long as you get an approved vaccine. When we went, we got the Sinopharm vaccine, which is not an approved vaccine by the FDA, but it is approved by the World Health Organization, and it is accepted in Saudi Arabia. And so that was one of the main reasons why we decided to go with that vaccine. The second thing you need to know is that ladies can actually wear whatever they want in public. They don't have to wear an abaya anymore. So I did not bring mine. I just brought some flowy cardigans, just in case I wanted to cover up. But no, ladies are no longer required to wear an abaya in public. You also don't have to wear a headscarf. But out of respect for the culture, I still decided to wear one. The third thing you need to know is that Saudis drive on the right side of the road, so keep that in mind. Alright, so now let's get into the actual itinerary. For the first 2 nights, we stayed at the Hilton in Jeddah. It was really beautiful. The room itself was huge. It was over 500 square feet. It had a huge TV and the service was great. On the first day, we decided to do a food tour. It was an amazing experience. There were about 12 of us on the tour, and we tried so much food. One of the most popular foods that they have there is called kabsa. It's kind of like a rice dish, with chicken and veggies and spices. It was so delicious. Also, there's this one drink that they have that's called manaish. It's kind of like a sweet coconut milk type of drink. It was so good. And one of the other popular dishes that they have there is called jarish. It's basically a wheat and meat dish. And another one of my favorites was the Arabic messi. They're basically small bites that you eat before the main meal. So yeah, if you go on a food tour, you'll definitely get to try all of those. The food tour also included a dessert tour, where we got to try so many different types of sweets that they have there. And then on the last day that we were in Jeddah, we went to this floating mosque. It was so beautiful. I loved it. And then we walked around the Corniche, which is basically a promenade that overlooks the water. There are restaurants and cafes, and it's just a nice place to walk around and relax. And then on the second day, in Jeddah, we woke up bright and early and took a domestic flight to Riyadh. The flight was only about 45 minutes. It was very quick. In Riyadh, we stayed at the Marriott Hotel, and it was absolutely gorgeous. The room was huge. It was over 600 square feet. It had a huge TV and a huge bathroom. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to explore Riyadh that much. So on that same day, we went to the Kingdom Center, and it has this huge observation deck that gives you a 360-degree view of the city. It was absolutely breathtaking. And then we went to this mall called the Centria Mall, and it has this huge indoor waterfall and a bunch of high-end shops. So that's all we had time for on that day. But we did plan to spend more time in Riyadh on the last day, because we had a later flight. On the last day, we woke up early and went to this place called the Edge of the World. It's basically this cliff that overlooks the desert, and it gives you a panoramic view of the entire area. It was absolutely stunning, and it felt like we were on top of the world. And then we went to this place called Al Faisaliyah Tower, and it has this beautiful fountain show. And then we went to the Masmak fortress, which is a historical fort that dates back to the 19th century. It was amazing to learn about the history of Saudi Arabia and see how far the country has come over the years. One of the things that I think would be really cool to do if you have more time is to go to this place called Al Ula. It's an ancient city that dates back to the 7th century BC. It was actually added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 2008, and I've heard that it's absolutely breathtaking. Apparently, they even have these tombs that are carved into the rocks, and there's this one place called Hegra that's been compared to Petra in Jordan. So if you have the time and the money, I would definitely check out Al Ula. Another thing that you could do if you have more time is to go to this island called Yanbu. It's located on the Red Sea coast, and it's known for its beautiful beaches and coral reefs. Apparently, they even have these dolphins that live in the waters there, and it's a great place to go snorkeling or scuba diving. If you're wondering how much this trip cost, I'd say that it was pretty affordable. Flights from the US to Saudi Arabia can be found for as low as $600. Of course, the price will vary, depending on when you travel and how far in advance you book your flight. Hotels in Saudi Arabia can range anywhere from $50 to $500 per night. Food can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. If you go to local restaurants, you can find meals for as low as $5. But if you go to fancy restaurants, it can cost upwards of $50 per meal. Overall, I would say that Saudi Arabia is a very affordable destination. As far as safety goes, I felt very safe in Saudi Arabia. The locals were very friendly and welcoming, and I never had any problems. However, it is important to note that Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country, and there are some cultural norms and customs that you should be aware of. For example, it is not appropriate to walk around in public displays of affection, and it is also important to dress modestly when visiting religious sites. Overall, though, I had a fantastic experience in Saudi Arabia, and I hope that this video has inspired you to visit this beautiful country. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.